I want you to think back to March of this year. COVID hit and everything stopped, right? You stopped selling houses. You basically packed up your business, said, I'm never going to sell another house again. And you basically just gave up. That's not what happened, right? You continue to sell houses. We figured out how to do it. And what's really cool is that a lot of realtors actually have reported that it is their best year ever. They're selling more real estate more than ever, higher volume. They are really growing their business this year, and that's all during a pandemic. So even though 2020 threw us a gigantic curveball, we have managed to get past that and continue to sell homes. Now, that can't exactly be said the same for events. COVID definitely put a halt to events. You may have had some national conference that was canceled. You may have actually had tickets to sporting games or concerts. Even Broadway shut down. I know a lot about that because my husband was working on Broadway at that time. So events definitely ground to a halt. Even though we were able to make real estate happen, a lot of events did not happen. So today I'm going to talk about events and how you can continue to do events. You can continue to stay in relationship with your clients, which you should be doing now and possibly more than ever. You just have to be a little bit creative with your events in the time of COVID. So there's 3 ways that you can actually do events during COVID that are COVID friendly. You're not going to get in trouble with your town. You're going to do it within your client's comfort level, and I'm going to be talking about those 3 ways today. But I do want to say, as we go through these events, definitely check with your area's restrictions first because every town has different regulations in terms of COVID, and they're always changing based on how the number of cases go. And you should also gauge what your client's comfort level is. Like, for example, some areas may still be allowing public open houses, but you might still have clients that are calling you for private showings that they're not comfortable going to public open houses. So even though you can do certain things, your clients may not be comfortable with those things. And their comfort level might not be 100%, so you need to dial it back a little bit. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about that later, so definitely stay tuned. The first type of COVID-friendly event that I'm going to talk about is a virtual event, which I'm sure many of us are familiar with and probably immediately think about Zoom, but it doesn't have to be just on Zoom. You could also do this on Facebook, you could do it on FaceTime, you could do it on Skype. It's a good idea to do it somewhere where there is a video element so that people can see you and you can see them back. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but those are sort of the big online video hosting providers. And virtual events can go all over the place. And I know many of you have probably already been a part of virtual events, whether that's a happy hour or maybe even something a little bit more structured, like maybe you've taken a cooking class. You can also do virtual events can also be educational, like you could host a seller workshop. There's so many ways that you can go with virtual events that just really open the door to the possibilities of what you can do. So you're staying in touch with people, but you're also doing it from home safely. You are having no physical contact whatsoever. So I also want to talk about some creative ideas for virtual events because I know that those dreaded happy hours have sort of been over and done with, and probably your clients do not want another invite to one of those awkward happy hour. So some other creative ways that you can do virtual events. One of my favorites is a tasting of any kind. So it could be a wine tasting, beers, scotch, any kind of beverage. But also food could be cheese or chocolate. And there's a lot of really cool creative ways that you can do this by partnering up with local businesses in your area to make these virtual tastings happen. And then you can all collectively as a group taste all at once. So that's a really fun thing that you can do. It's an activity, but it's something a little bit different. Any type of class works. I love bringing in someone from the community to teach a class, whether that's someone who's teaching a workout class or a craft or a cooking class. Those are also really fun. And another awesome idea is a How's the Market webinar that you can do for people in your community. It also promotes you as a realtor. There's definitely a lot of questions that you've probably been getting from people, from clients or people that you're having conversations with that are asking about how COVID is affecting the market. So an awesome way to answer those questions and get in front of people is to do a How's the Market or How is COVID impacting the market webinar. And that can be done virtually, super easy. The last tip that I have about virtual events, especially if it's something that's interactive, is to keep it small. It gets really overwhelming when you have a lot of people on at once, as I'm sure you've known from doing all these Zoom calls, especially when people aren't muting themselves. You have a lot of people all at once, a lot of people talking all at once. If it's something that requires a lot of focus, there's going to be a lot of questions. So generally a small group is really ideal when you're doing these virtual events. But what's great about a virtual event is that you can easily replicate this event, so you can do it multiple times with different groups of people. The second COVID-friendly event type is to do Popeyes. They are the ultimate social distance activity. It's an awesome way to surprise your clients. It might actually be something that you had already done pre-COVID, but it is totally COVID-friendly, an awesome thing to do during COVID. What I also love about Popeyes is it often gets you tagged on social media. So you leave something for somebody on their doorstep, you totally surprise them, they snap a picture, post it on Instagram or Facebook, and they tag you, thanking you for dropping something off at your home. So it's super awesome. That way their friends see that you do it. I love doing Popeyes, especially during this time. Now, a Popeye could be really simple. It can also be really budget friendly. So something that you picked up at the grocery store or Costco, you could have it with a cheesy note, or you can drop off something that might be an activity that you would have done at an event. Like maybe you were going to have a gingerbread house making event in December, but instead of making an event, you're going to drop off those kits at people's houses. Some other great ideas of Popeyes that I've seen recently, which might require a bigger budget and a little bit more of time planning, but they go a huge way. One of my favorites is a doormat drop. So there's a realtor that I know of that she makes these doormats, or she orders these doormats with cute sayings. They could be seasonal, and she drops them off at people's doors and they love them and snap the social media photos. You could do other things that are seasonal. You could do wreaths. You could do a seasonal plant. So if you're thinking for December, you could always drop off a wreath, or you could drop off a poinsettia. Other December ideas for Popeyes, you could do a hot chocolate kit, wrapping paper, baked goods. There's a million things that you can do to drop off at people's houses for your Popeyes, and that goes a long way. And again, totally social distanced. So the third COVID-friendly way of doing events is to do small and in person. So if you are able to do something in person, I definitely do not recommend doing a giant party with 100 people. You want to keep it a really small, intimate group, or you're going to have an event that you're going to spread out like throughout a whole day, so you don't have everybody there at once. So a couple of my favorite kind of COVID-friendly events right now are to do a pie day for Thanksgiving, which you can do as an all-day open house, so people can stop by, but you're not having everybody come at once. You're going to spread it out throughout the whole day from morning to evening. Or you could also offer the option of somebody to quickly pick up something. So it is in person, but they're dropping by, picking something up and leaving. So they're probably not staying more than 15 minutes. You don't have a lot of people together at once. You can also use that same model for something in December. So if you want to do pickups for gingerbread houses, or maybe you're going to set up a hot chocolate bar at your brokerage so people can come in, grab and go their hot chocolate. Some other great ideas are to do family photos with scheduled times. Again, you're not having a lot of people at once, and because you're scheduling them in, they're only coming at their allotted time and you're not having a lot of overlap. I also love doing a sip and shop to support local businesses. I think they need us now more than ever with COVID, and Amazon definitely does not need any more of our money. So I love the idea of a sip and shop to support your local businesses. And if you want to do something that's a little bit more of an activity with people, I love the idea of doing like a wine tasting or even a bubbly tasting. A lot of people are having bubbly champagne, or that's also ties it in with New Year's, so that could be really fun. Now back to your clients' comfort levels. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, and I want to circle back to that. Now, if you were planning an in-person event, you may want to consider different levels of ways of doing this event. So there might be some options. Like, for example, if you are doing an event where kids are going to come and they're going to make gingerbread houses in one location, you might want to offer an option that you are going to drop a kit at their house, that you will hand deliver a kit at their house so they can still feel included. While also knowing that they might not be comfortable coming and sitting in one location for an hour with other people. When I was researching this video topic, I actually found that one of the trending searches was how to RSVP no to events during COVID. So know that it is a strong possibility that people may RSVP no. And because people are searching this, they're probably feeling a little awkward about how to go about this. So if you can go ahead and know that it's going to be a possibility, and you can go ahead and have your plan B, your backup option, so that you can make everybody feel included, I think that will go a really long way. So here you have 3 ways to hold events during COVID. You can and you should continue to stay in relationship with your clients and your sphere. And one of the best ways to do that is through events, and you can continue to do them safely during this time. Give this video a like, give it a share, and I will see you next week.